Hi, everyone. Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton Law and Mediation, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast, and of course, this wonderful community. Tonight, we're going to talk about one of the things that's so important. Yes, Junie's saying hello. Hi, Junie. One of the things that is so important to making a plan for your pets, and that is bringing your attorney along for the ride. Now, most attorneys will build a particular pet trust or they'll put it in your will and they'll say you're all done. And what you need to say to them is, yes, I am. And I want to write a plan for my will that states the dogs in my possession at the time of my death as set forth in my MAAP plan. And if you have an attorney that you're working with, that you're doing your trust and estate planning with, and you buy one of the packages that are on my website to make a MAAP plan, or you join one of the workshops, I'm happy to chat with your attorney about what it means to refer to the MAAP plan in someone's trust and estate documents, because it is so important. Two reasons, maybe three, why it's so important. The first reason is you want a document that you can update without having to rewrite your will. Now, you have to work with the attorneys, and that's why I said if you join me and purchase one of my products or join me in a workshop, I'm happy to speak to your attorney to work out how in your state you can create a MAAP plan that can be referred to so you don't have to have your documents rewritten every time you get a dog, you lose a dog, your dog needs more medication, whatever it is, because knowing and working with your attorney is a key piece of making a MAAP plan. The second most important piece is that your attorney has to be on board to know what it is that you want done and who you want it done by. I have had so many cases where people have sat down and talked to people, sometimes even written things down. And when they became ill, incapacitated, were suffering from dementia, were really ravaged by a disease, or maybe they were dead, the people who are caring for their pets all were jockeying for position on who was going to get the dogs, where the dogs were going to go, where the cats were going to go, where the horses, the birds, the reptiles, whatever animal that lives in your house, where were they going to go? Well, the attorney in your life will listen to what your plans are. And it's an imperative for you to explain to them what your plans are, dead or alive, because making that plan so your pets are cared for short term or long term is really key. Let me give you an example. So you sit down with your attorney and you say, listen, I'd like to set up my trust and estate papers. What happens if I become incapacitated? What happens if I'm struck with dementia? What happens if I'm injured to the point where I can't communicate? What happens when I die? And that's across the board. What happens to your house? What happens to your jewelry? What happens to your cars? What happens to everything in your possession? That's what the attorney is going to help you decide what to do, and it will be written down. Your pets, on the other hand, are not necessarily something, although it's getting much better because I've been speaking at a number of trust and estate committee programs where I remind attorneys that pets are like family, like children, and they need to ask, so what do you want to do about your pets? Some of them have really good structures within which they work that give you the opportunity to plan for your pet. Most of those structures come into fruition if you're dead. We at the MAAP community understand death is only one of the D's, right? We have divorce, we have domestic violence, we have delay, we have disease, disaster, dementia, deployment, delay, and there's one more. If we don't plan for everything that could happen to us that would make it impossible or very improbable that we would be able to care for our pets, then we're letting them down. I call this the MAP program because I want you to navigate the journey your pet takes when you can't care for it. So tonight, as I said, we're talking about talking to your attorney. And that's the P of the MAP plan. Because once you write this plan, you put it together, you either come to a workshop or buy one of the packages off my website and put things together. You need to go to an attorney to make sure they know what you want done. I alluded to it a little earlier, but it is so important to have your attorney know what it is you want to have done with your pets so that your family is either supported in their choices of what to do with your pets or guided with what to do for your pets. There have been several cases where people have passed away where the future of the dogs was not even addressed. In one such case, a woman died. She was dead for 4 days, and her brother came once he was alerted that she hadn't gotten to work, and he found her, unfortunately, deceased, and her 4 dogs in kennels. The dogs were all the same color. Their crates or kennel runs were not labeled. He could tell the boys from the girls, thank goodness, but he wasn't really close enough to his sister to know who was who, what was what, and where were they supposed to go. He looked on it at her desk, he looked everywhere, and lo and behold, he found a number for Irish Setter Rescue, because we have Irish setters. And he called the Irish Setter Rescue person who sent him to me. And so I said to him, listen, I think I know who co-owns those dogs or might know what next steps your sister would want to have done. And so I alerted those people to get in touch with him to help him with the dogs. The problem was not that these people didn't help him with the dogs, they really did. He just didn't have any idea if that actually was what his sister wanted to have done with the dogs. Nothing was written down. So at the end of the day, everyone came, they took the dogs, they took some Irish setter paraphernalia. And he said to me, I just wasn't sure if this is what she wanted. And I knew how important these dogs were to her. And it didn't seem like they really cared that she was dead. It really seemed as if they cared where the dogs were going to end up. Now, we who own dogs want to make sure somebody is really interested in making sure where the dogs end up and that they have a soft landing. And that happened here. The family left behind for the person who was lost had no idea that this was really what she wanted. They could only really hope. So tonight's discussion about letting your attorney know what you want done with your pets is key. I know it's expensive to have an attorney do a trust and estate plan for you, to write your will, to execute your will. Updating it is expensive sometimes too, probably not as expensive as writing it in the first place, but definitely at cost. You can always do a will online. I caution you not to do that for 2 reasons. One is you don't know what you're getting or if it's enforceable in your state. So maybe, probably it would be. However, what I said before goes for online wills and trust and estate packages. It is so key that someone knows what you want to do with your pets. And if you write it in one of those, cookie cutter wills, they don't really give you the ability to say what you might want to say. So for me, it's always worth it when I have a workshop to say, I know this is expensive to come to my workshop, and I know it's expensive to go to a trust and estate attorney. However, think of it as, 2 puppies sold or a few bags of dog food, because that's what's going to take your beloved pet from point A to point B safely. They're going to have a soft landing. You're going to navigate the journey they take when you can't care for them short term or long term. Your attorney needs to know. Remember, when we talked about appointing caregivers, all the caregivers need to know about each other. Well, the attorney needs to know about the caregivers as well, because he or she is going to be the one who will be reimbursing them for their costs or paying for the dog's transportation and a bag of dog food if, in fact, the dogs are going there for long term, maybe even short term, because you always want to make sure people get some compensation for helping you with your dogs. We don't have crystal balls. We really need to make sure that we make a plan that creates the easiest way for our pets to go from point A to point B if something were to happen to us. The other piece of information, so we talked about finding a trust and estate attorney who understands what you want, telling the trust and estate attorney what you want, having that trust and estate attorney work within state rules to be able to enable you to change the MAAP plan outside the will and refer to the most recent MAAP plan in the will so that you don't have to rewrite your will every time a dog's situation changes. Now, Deborah, what do you mean by a dog situation changing? Well, I have a 1-year-old English Cocker Spaniel right now, and she's on heartworm and she's on NexGard, but she's not on anything else. I have a 7-year-old Irish setter who's on HeartGuard and NexGard, not anything else. But you know what? He might go on some arthritic medication in a year or 2 or 3. They might have to have ear medication because we live in a very humid area and they may get chronic ear infections, knock on wood. They don't have that now. All of these things that change in the lives of a dog or a cat or a bird or a horse are things we have to document and leave behind so the people caring for our pets care for them in the best way that they can. If you don't tell them, they can't help your pet. If you don't tell your attorney what it is and who it is you want to have your pets, then the pets are not necessarily going to end up where you want them. Another story I have is that a woman who had absolutely assured everyone she had all her trust and estate documents in place. Well, she might. However, she never told her significant other that there were documents in place. And so, where are they? They're not in the drawer. They're not in the safe deposit box. They're not in the basket of sundry papers. So where are they? That is key. If you have an attorney, those papers are going to be in his office, her office, to be looked at and executed the way you want them to be executed. So when I talk about publishing, I always mention publishing a copy of the MAAP plan with your attorney so that even if your MAAP plan somehow gets lost in your house, your attorney will have the most recent one. And for any attorneys who are out there listening to this, remember, it is really difficult to touch base with your client to tell them, do you need to update your will? Is there something new in your life? Is there something, that needs to be changed? Asking clients about how their dogs, cats, birds, horses are doing every year, maybe every 6 months, will give you the opportunity to engage with them about something they love so much that they will say, oh my God, I forgot. I now know that my dog can't eat turkey because if he eats turkey, he gets terrible digestive issues. That has to be in a MAAP plan that's updated and given to your attorney. Your attorney is your greatest partner in facilitating the things you want done in the MAAP plan. They may not be able to build the MAAP plan with you. That's more of what I do as this community and in workshops, because quite frankly, after all the MAAP plans and workshops I've held, I've learned so much about what to say to a breeder who wants you to return the pet. What do you say to a breeder who doesn't have a MAAP plan but wants your dog back? What do you say to, someone in your family who wants the dog, but really the dog doesn't like them and won't do well with them? These are all things that you address in the MAAP plan and that you tell your attorney. Remember, I said that the attorney is your best friend if you can't verbalize. Because when everybody comes and says, Deborah told me to do it, Deborah told me to take the dog, Deborah told me, the attorney can say, wait a minute, I have the most recent MAAP plan here. And remember, it's your duty to get your attorney the most recent MAAP plan. So every year you have to look at it and say, ooh, what's changed? Ooh, what's new? Do I still have that dog? Do I still have that horse? Do I still have that bird? Get that information to your attorney and spend a few minutes on the phone saying everything's the same except for this, and this, so that they know what it is that you want changed. And make sure that you have a dialogue, because if there's ever something that comes up Every attorney, when they have a conversation with a client, especially trust and estate attorneys, make notes about what their client said and how their client wanted to have something dispersed. We call it notes of a call. And that helps us recall what Deborah Hamilton said when she called about the MAAP plan. Right. She said she wanted this and this and this. And then she called 2 years later and said she wanted this and this and this. So that woman who called and didn't tell her significant other what to do with the dogs, someone called him and said, listen, I know what she wanted to do, which of course is the nightmare of everyone's life, right? That someone's going to call who you don't know or maybe don't even like and tell someone who has no clue that you have a plan, that they are the people that you wanted, your deceased spouse or your deceased sister or your deceased son or whatever, that they know what they wanted to do. And since you never had a conversation or you don't know where any documents are, you go, well, if he says that, you're the person, well, then I guess I'm going to listen to them. And so your dogs may go to a person who would be the last person on the face of the earth to get the dogs. Finally, I want to talk about letting your attorney know, if you're a breeder, that you have frozen sperm somewhere, that you have frozen sperm, that now the AKC is starting sort of a bank for different breeds so that genetic pools are not lost. We never want to lose genetic pools. Now, maybe no one would breed to my dog. However, 10 years from now, he might have a pedigree that somebody really wants. And so if I give it to the AKC sperm donation pool, then between the AKC and the parent club of Irish setters, people might have access to the pedigree they're looking for because my sperm wasn't lost for lack of payment. So when you're making these plans, your attorney is really your best friend. They want you to make a plan that is going to keep everything just the way you want it. And if in fact your family doesn't know that you made a plan, the attorney can always call and say, listen, I just saw that Susie Smith passed away. Do you know she wrote a will and it's in my office? And she also has a MAAP plan for her dogs. It should be in the house, but if it isn't, I have what I believe to be the most recent MAAP plan in my office so that people know what you want to do about your pets. I've created this community because it is so important for me to have you make a plan for your pets. They are relying on us to navigate the journey they take when we can't care for them long or short term. Please join me in one of my workshops. I have them every season. We're having one in the summer, we have one in the winter, we have one in the spring, and we have one in the fall. So look for one that works with your timing. I have to tell you that we have so much fun putting this together. If you really feel it's difficult to make a plan, appoint caregivers, address the needs of your pet, and publish it with your attorney. And next week, we're going to talk about your veterinarian, who is another important partner in making a MAAP plan. Come to one of the committee meetings the first and third Wednesday of the month, or join us for a workshop. Money well spent, and you will have it done for you. You can also do it yourself by buying the do-it-yourself package off of my website. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope that all of you have an attorney and are making some plans for your future and for the future of your pets. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out for me at info@hamiltonlawandmediation.com. Hi, everyone. Deborah Hamilton, and I'm so glad you're part of the MAAP community. I wanted to let you in on a little secret. We are updating, revamping, revising, and creating a whole new community experience for our MAAP community members. That's going to take us a few months. So we are going to be back in your ears January 15th, the third Wednesday of January, which will then be our date certain for our meeting every month so that we can continue to make a plan for our pets, to address their needs, to appoint caregivers, and then to publish that plan that we've made. if you're a pet owner of a dog, a cat, a bird, a horse, a snake, it is imperative that you create and navigate, make the map that has them take a journey you want them to take if something were to happen to you. Remember, the MAAP plan doesn't just cover you when you pass away. There are so many other things that can get in the way of your helping your pets. Remember the 10 Ds: divorce, delay, deployment, disease, disaster, domestic violence, dementia, to name just a few. But the biggest one is denial. The denial that this will ever happen to you and that your pets will be fine and people will step up and care for them. Yes, they may, or maybe they won't. Do you want to take that chance? The MAAP community is a like-minded group of people who want to put down in writing what they'd like to happen to their pets if they were unable to care for them short-term, long-term. So have a good fall and winter, well, partial winter. Have a great holiday season. We'll be back in your ears January 15th, 2025, with a fully revamped MAAP community call. If you have any suggestions, please don't hesitate to write info@hamiltonlawandmediation.com. That's info@hamiltonlawandmediation.com. We look forward to seeing you on the 15th. There's going to be a great deal of fanfare. And to all of you who've made a MAAP plan, congratulations. Don't forget to update it every year. And for those of you who are still struggling with some or all of the parts of the MAAP plan, we're here to help you. Take good care. Look forward to seeing you January 15th, 2025. And remember, navigate that journey your pet takes when you can't care for it, or something you didn't intend may occur to your pets. This is Deborah Hamilton, Hamilton Law and Mediation, Hamilton ADR, North Carolina, the Why Do Pets Matter podcast, and of course, my dear and wonderful MAAP community. Take care.